In this next step, we're going to create a procedure for a new question, and then we're going to make sure a new question appears when we start the app, and a new question appears every time we hit the I don't know button. So let's start by making that procedure. The procedure in the purple blocks, I'm going to name the procedure new question. I'm going to write that in camel case. And the new question is going to pick a new question from uh, these parallel arrays, and it's going to ask either question 1, what is the name of a tech inventor, to question 2, the Grace Hopper question, or question 3, the founding father of the internet with Vint Cerf. And then the images and pictures are going to be matching. So I'm going to first need to create a variable. And typically this variable is named index, but because this is a new app, I'm going to name this variable capital Q, capital A, capital I, because it's going to be the number of the question, which is going to be the same number as the answer, which is going to be the same number as the image. So I'm going to initially set Q, A, and I to be 0. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when the new question method or procedure, is called, I want to set that QA and I could have also got the setter here, set the QA and I. I'm going to set that QA and I to a random value. So I'm going to go to math and then get the random integer from 1 to, in this case, it would be 3. But I'm going to make this code even more robust by making sure that if I add another item to the list, it reacts to that and it picks a question from 1 to the number of items in the list. There's a handy block for that inside of list, which is the length of a list. So I can ask for the length of a list. I'm going to say, hey, give me the length of a list, and the list I'm going to ask for the length of is the images one, although I could have asked for any of the lengths of any of these lists, questions or answers, because they all would be the 3, and I want to keep them all parallel. So I want to make sure that all of them have the same number of elements in them. But now it's going to pick a random number between 1 and 3, and it's going to store it in that Q, A, and I variable. Next, I'm going to set my image to be that picture that the random number picks. So if it picks 1, it's going to be Steve Jobs, 2 Grace Hopper, 3 Vint Cerf. So I'm going to get rid of this constant call here. I don't want it to get Vince. What I wanted to do is I wanted to select one of the items in the list. And there's also a handy new block for that under lists. So under lists, there's a block that says select item from a list at a given index. So I'm going to select an item from a list in that at a given index. So I'm going to grab that select block inside of lists. And the list I'm going to pick from in this case is images because I'm setting the picture. So I'm going to get it from the images list. And the number it's going to pick is this number right here, QAI. So if it's 1, it's going to pick Steve Jobs. If it's 2, it's going to pick the picture of Grace Hopper. And if it's 3, it's going to pick the picture of Vint Cerf. So I need that number. So I'm going to get that number, and then it's going to get from the images list the number depending on which number is picked. I'm going to do the same exact thing with the label of the question. So the label for the question is I'm also going to get the text for that. I'm also going to set the text for that. I'm also going to set the text for that to be, again, select item from a list, but this time the list is going to be the questions list. So I'm going to get that from the questions list, and I'm going to just want to get one item, and that one item is whatever is picked by the random call, and that random result is put into QAI. So let's say it randomly picks question 2. It's or QAI is 2. So that's going to pick the second question, was the name of the person who first invented the compiler. And the image it's going to pick is also going to be 2, Grace Hopper. So it's going to put in image 2, and it's going to put in picture 2 every time I call new question. Now, I'm going to call new question 2 times, which is why I wrote a procedure, because I'm actually going to call it 3 times. The first time I'm going to call it is when the screen is initialized. So when the app starts, the screen is initialized, and that's an event. So I click on screen, and then I go up to the when screen is initialized, the when screen dot initialize in under screen. I'm going to pick that one, and I'm going to say, hey, when the screen is initialized, run the new question procedure. I click on procedures, and now I have a new call because I made a new procedure. I invented my own new block of code here. I'm going to say, hey, when the screen is initialized, start up a new question. I'm also going to use that IDK button I created. The IDK button allows me to just pick a new question, and I'm going to use that button right now so that when someone picks on the IDK button, they can also get a new question. So now we have a fully functioning app that will ask one of these 3 questions when the screen is initialized, and then a different question with a different image every time I hit the IDK button. Now we don't have any of the checking necessary yet, and we're going to do that next with the submit button. But right now you should be able to load this onto your phone or iPad, test it, and it should work, giving you random questions every time you hit the IDK button.